Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a really cool Kellogg wooden wall telephone with a Stromberg and Carlson crank in it. And this is Paige's telephone from New Jersey. And I believe this is Paige's grandmother's telephone. And I want to kind of give you a look at it. This is the initial checkout. And I want to show you something with the receiver capsule and the hook switch. But basically this kind of gives you a look at it. And I'm going to open it up here in a second. It's a really cool oak wooden wall telephone, and this Kellogg here, I want to explain a few things about it, this particular model. I'm going to go ahead and pull the receiver capsule and the hook switch off of it, or the bracket that holds the receiver capsule, and I have taken this off on purpose, and I want to show you it's just been my experience over the years that what happens is, and I've cleaned this up a little bit because I'm getting ready to weld this. This metal here is very soft, and basically what happens is over the years, and it's been my experience, if you look, you'll always see a little, they either break these off this side or this side because of the soft metal. And what happens is over the years, people that aren't familiar with the phone, they try to hang up the receiver capsule, and it always goes over the back side of the receiver capsule. And so what people do is they bend on them, and this one does have a hairline crack right here. So if you were to bend on it much more, it would just crack. And I don't know if the video, or break off, I don't know if the video can pick it up, but I always find a little crack on one of these sides in here. And so, because this metal is pretty soft, and they used two pieces. So basically, in a sense, I don't know if the video is picking it up, but this is actually two pieces of metal that they put together, and then they have some little tiny rivets in it. Well, since the metal's so soft and people bend on them because they're trying to get the receiver to hang up, but it doesn't fit. Well, the reason why it doesn't fit is, I'm going to set the video down here, is because this receiver capsule is supposed to hang up like this. And so it has a wider angle on the hook switch bracket that holds the receiver. So, you know, people are always trying to hang them up like this, and they bend on them through the years, and they get weak. And so I always find a crack on this model like this. So basically what we're going to do is, and I'll kind of try to show you this on the video again, there's a little hairline crack right here. And I want to make sure I weld that for Paige. I want to get that fixed up. And then we'll sand all this down and repaint it. But that's just one issue. And the fraying, now I'll talk to Paige, but I do believe, you know, there's enough of this handset line, and sometimes we can fix these frays up a little bit. She may want to use the original. I mean, it was I believe it was her grandmother's phone, and I think we can probably get away with using this original cord. I could actually take everything out if the cord is actually good. I could take everything out of this receiver capsule, and I could put some heat shrink up to about here, and that would take care of that. Now, we have ways of fixing these little pieces of fray, and other than that, the handset cord looks pretty good. Let's get a kind of a look inside of this telephone here. And I'm going to go ahead and move some things over. I don't want to crank this telephone, because what happens is the crank is real stiff. And what I need to do is go into the crank and oil it. But this telephone's in really good shape. And I'm going to kind of set it down here gently so I can give you a look at it. The original bells are still in it. Some of the original wiring is here, and they actually have an original diagram which you don't always find on these wooden walls. A lot of times these are missing. And I do believe that this telephone is pretty much, hasn't been really disturbed. And so that's really cool. I'm going to kind of try to set this up and get it even. And as you can see here, we have a Stromberg and Carlson crank. And this crank needs to be gone through. It's probably a 5-bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-bar Stromberg and Carlson crank. But here's your hook switch. And then some of the other connections that they had on the inside. So it's a really cool, undisturbed, old wooden wall crank telephone. It's in very good condition. Paige is very lucky to have this telephone. It's in very good condition. And what we're going to do is turn this in for home use, and Paige will be able to use this telephone. So that kind of gives you a look at the inside of the telephone. And like I said, I want to, one of the first things that I do with this telephone is I'm going to go ahead and weld this, the hook switch receiver catch. And once we do that, we'll get that painted up, and then we'll start repairing on this telephone and set it up for home use. But it's in really good condition, and it's a Kellogg wooden wall and oak telephone. It has a couple of crack issues on the wood, but you know, over a period of time, that's going to happen, and it's not a big issue. If Paige is really worried about it, you know, she might be able to find some ways to stabilize that wood. But I don't suspect that it'll crack much more than it already has. And, you know, you just have to allow for expansion and contraction. And this telephone's probably close to 100 years old, if not a little newer. But that kind of gives you a look at Paige's grandmother's telephone. And that's pretty cool that she's going to save this and put it back into working condition. Because once this is working, this telephone could last another 100 years, basically. It might need a little here or there, but other than that, this telephone, like they built anything in those days, was built to last. And the only reason these receiver hooks for the hook switch would have a little crack in them is because people really over the years that weren't familiar with the telephone tried to hang up the receiver capsule, and then they would bend on them, and so they would get, you know, they would start, you know, it would put stress on the metal. And so basically when you hang these up, and I'll set this down and show it to you one more time, you really want to hang this. This telephone was meant to hang like this and not like this. See, it's really just too wide of a scope, and then what people try to do is they try to start bending this around. And I'm sure over the years, I find a lot of them like this, I'm sure over the years it gets bent on enough, it just gets a stress crack in it. And we'll get that taken care of, not a big issue. So anyway, this is the initial checkout of this telephone, and we will be working on it. This is a very cool Stromberg and Carlson crank in this telephone, and it's a Kellogg wooden wall. Paige's grandmother's from New Jersey. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.